All right, guys, so we have two boards here. These are Whirlpool dryer, and pretty much the issue with this board or the symptoms you're going to be having with your dryer is when you press the start button, you'll hear a click. So take the console off and gain access to the board. Take the board out and take a look at it. And you're going to be mainly focusing on the large relay. And that's the one right there. So right now what we're doing is testing it. You might not be able to do this if you don't have a magnet. If you do, then you go ahead and do it. And you can see how I'm doing it. Basically putting the meter on continuity and putting the magnet on the relay until you hear the engagement of the relay. So that's a good relay. We were able to get the contact to close. Now we're desoldering it and we're going to put it on the board that has the bad relay. Well, I take that back. The relay is still good. And in many cases, including your situation, I think the relay is actually still good. Pretty much why it happens is because you either are doing too many loads, dry loads at back-to-back, or you may have a clogged vent and your dryer's taking way too long to dry. So it puts heavy strain on the circuit board. And over time, what will happen, you will literally break those joints on the board. And once that is the case, there it is right there. It'll be burnt and the connection will be broken. So you will not be able to start and the machine just won't do anything. So get that fixed. And a lot of times in your case, try to clean the joints. You can use a tiny file, a razor blade, and you can go around that solder joint and clean it really well. If you have flux, you can use some flux, and that will help to remove any carbon that's built up. Because if you don't have a good clean joint, then the solder is not going to adhere and you still won't have a good contact. So we're taking this one out, and as you can see, I'm actually doing a slight cleaning. It's a wire brush, and then I'm going to be using a razor, as you can see, and doing a tiny bit of scraping, getting rid of any burnt carbon, because that is not going to give you a good connection. So you want to make sure that everything is nice and clean before you insert, or even if you're just going to keep your original relay, do a good clean till it's nice and shiny. Get down close as possible. Just don't destroy the trace. Now, if the trace, and then the trace is the circle around the relay where the pin goes through. If that is totally destroyed, which in some cases it is, so what you might have to do is get a piece of wire. Piece of wire, and wrap it around the relay and then solder it onto the trace. You will see the trace where it was connected to. You will have to scrape back a little bit. In my case, I didn't need to do that. I wish I could have showed you. But in this case, it was still intact. So pretty much what I could have done, if I did not change that relay, I could have actually just cleaned around it well and basically fill that pin area with solder, and I'll be good to go. Now, you don't have to use, if you don't have a desorter gun, you can just use the wick and just get a regular sorter gun, and you can wick the sorter out of the joint just the same. We do quite a bit, so we do need to use that. It's better, in my opinion, but the sorter wick is still great. I use it sometimes for tiny, corners that you can't get that into. So we're checking the other relay. I thought it was bad, but I just couldn't get a good, I didn't have enough space between the other relay on the board, so I wasn't sure. So the one I thought was bad is still good, so I will keep that for another day. That was a donor board. They come in handy sometimes. Now, if your dryer is just clicking, when you press start and cancel and press start and you keep hearing click, sometimes the belt could be off as well. So make sure you check your belt first, and you can check that by opening the door and turning the dryer drum. And you should have some resistance when the belt is on. If the belt is off, you're going to know for sure once you turn that drum. It's going to be really easy to move. So we're putting on a little bit of flux, mainly on that joint, because it was pretty gnarly. It had some carbon, but I cleaned it out pretty well. So with the flux, you're going to have some smoke, and it's basically acidic, so it's actually cleaning the corrosion, so you have a good joining contact on the board and the relay pin. Also, when you're soldering, if you do remove your relay, make sure that you have something holding it in place so that while you're soldering it, it doesn't fall down. As you can see, I have a brush or something, and that's keeping the relay in. Sometimes you can put a piece of tape on it, and that keeps it in. Shiny tape, aluminum tape, that works. And don't breathe that stuff in, or try not to. And it's pretty easy to check your board. You pretty much just pull it out, unplug the units, and just take out the board, flip it over, and you will definitely see you'll see it. It's going to have a very distinct look to it, to the big relay, and you'll see a big burnt mark, or just a slight burn, but you'll definitely see it. So I was just going over the joints. We're pretty much done here, and just double check your joints, make sure that they're well heated and you have good penetration. The better the penetration on those joints, the better the contact, and make them better than factory. So enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks for watching.